Welcome everybody to the back of somebody else's ute. We are here with Emma Carter or just near Hermodale on farm, and predominantly livestock, but I've been around and I've seen there's lots of multi-species planting and regenerating their land in process. So it's really exciting, and welcome to your back of the ute. And thank you very much for showing us around. The first thing that hit me when we had a conversation was the fact that you are regenerating a natural ecosystem that wasn't functioning properly. Yeah. So when you first came here, first of all, when did you buy the property?
We bought it, 2018, and it was just scrub. There was no internal fencing. The ground was really scalded, and you couldn't drive around the boundary at all. It was just awful.
And so this is the thing that really just grabbed me when we were discussing this, is the fact that our perception is that wildlife can manage itself, but for whatever reason, like even the native animals weren't able to graze.
No. So they would graze out in the neighbours and come into our little timber strip at night for protection. The birds would nest here, but they weren't able to eat here. There was nothing.
So how was the soil then when you got here?
Completely scalded. Like if you threw a bucket of water on the ground, it would just run.
It's just amazing. Okay, yeah. So you bought the property with, did you have in mind? And obviously, because you wanted to farm it.
Yeah. It was just an opportunity to get onto the land. It was reasonably priced, and we'd previously been further west, and we'd sort of seen what we could do with a bit of management with stock and machinery, and it seemed to work out there, so we were hoping it would work here.
Okay, so you've done something similar further out west.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this was your opportunity to actually get on the land.
Yeah.
And but you knew how hard it was going to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, we obviously did not expect the 2 years of drought that happened, but at the same time, it gave us an opportunity to put the fences in and get stuff chained without it being too wet.
Yeah, well, that's it. You've had two extremes, haven't you? So
yeah.
You bought the place in the back end of the big dry, and now we've had basically almost 2 years of rain, haven't we?
Yeah. Which has been great.
So, well, yeah, particularly now you've got your fences in.
Yeah.
And so just walk us through how you actually went about it, because you've got the scrub and you need to get permission, don't you?
Yeah, so we went to the local land service and got an assessment, I think it's called, which enables us to pull the INS, so invasive native scrub, but you've got to leave 20 stems per hectare of the target species, if that makes any sense. Okay.
So but it's an invasive native species.
Yeah, so all the scrub was native.
Yeah.
But it was just too thick.
So it was basically taken over, and what you're wanting is to encourage more grassland.
Yeah, so we basically just thinned the scrub.
Ah, okay.
More than just chained it over and...
Yeah, so because, I mean, we've been around and there's a lot of big clumps of trees and yeah, it looks great though. It looks natural, believe it or not. And then once you did that, how was it? So it was bare, and then what did you do?
So in May 18, we decided that we'd get a contractor in. They chained over the back third, and we were able to fence that up, put the troughs in, and then bring the sheep here in July. And then they were sort of here till November, and then we sent them back off on adjustment.
So how big would have been that paddock have been then that you fenced?
400 and almost 500 hectares.
Okay, that's pretty big. And then how many sheep?
When we bought them down here, I think we had about 400.
Okay.
Then we cut that in half and sold them off, and then we sent the other 200 west believe it or not, on adjustment.
Okay, because you would have been getting, well, you've cleared it,
Yeah,
and so
then-
there wasn't much on the ground.
And like, well, there was nothing here. We pulled the timber over. There was a little bit of fodder in the timber.
Okay.
And then, like, because we just didn't have the rain,
Yeah.
so we had to send them away, and then they came back. I think it was the start of 2020.
Okay.
So yeah, we sort of didn't have anything here in 2019.
Okay. And then in 2020, when did it start raining? It was,
Yeah, sort of the start. Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was just, I think for Gold Coast, it was like at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Can't remember, yeah, we just had so much. And then, of course,
I think it was January, February.
yeah, and then you started, obviously, everything came through then. Because it was bare ground, you would have had a lot of weeds.
Yeah, so mainly like the herby sort of plants came through first, and eventually as they died off, the grasses came. It seemed to come in stages.
Yeah, and you still just had sheep then?
Yep.
And then where are the goats fitting in?
The goats, there was goats on the place when we bought it. We removed them straight away, or as many as we could, and then yeah, we've just brought them back in in the last sort of 6 months.
Yeah, and that's a different species of animal for what purpose then? With
Just to get a different sort of browse,
Okay.
or like graze, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a better word.
All right. And then your cattle, have you got any on property?
Yeah, we've only got 12, I think, at the moment. We're just about to bring some more on. We've just got rid of some.
Okay. And then that is then, so how are you going to graze then and manage the property with the animals?
So we're hoping the cattle will take the bulk of the feed, like the taller grass out, and make it more like the feed a bit fresher for the sheep.
Yeah.
Make it so the sheep can get through the grass.
Yes.
And then, yeah, so we'll probably run the cattle in front of the sheep by about a month,
Okay.
hopefully.
Okay.
But if that doesn't work, we'll just tweak it.
Yeah. And have you got a special type of sheep?
Yeah, we've got like a Van Roy composite.
What does that mean?
It's just a different breed. So it's Van Roy and then predominantly. And then we've got Dorper and White Suffolks in there as well.
Okay, and they're good on this country?
Yeah, they seem to handle it really well,
Yeah.
the dry and the wet,
Yeah.
which is great. And the grass seed doesn't seem to worry them too much. They're more of a hairy sheep than a woolly sheep.
Okay, all right. And so then on top of that, so you've now cleared your land, you're with the idea of actually improving it. And what else did you do? Because you added your multi-species on top of pasture, didn't you?
Yeah, so once we chained it, we went through and raked it with the Truscavator. And the first year we just put oats in just to get some sort of plants in the ground on the paddock that we'd raked. And then the next year we had talked to Darren Mudford and he convinced us to put a multi-species in.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like, we planted it in April and then it sort of germinated and then went 8 weeks without any rain. So we were like, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
So we threw some sheep in and then like it stayed there. And we ended up grazing it 3 or 4 times. Like, it was incredible. The radish was amazing. And like, it didn't look like an amazing crop because it was roughed in.
Yeah.
And then this year we were like, oh yeah, we'll do it properly this time. So we went through and we sort of put the chisel plough through first,
Yeah.
to break it up sort of this time last year. And then we sowed it with a cultivator. And we got it in just before the 17th of April. I think we finished on the 16th of April. So it was a bit late getting it in. But
That was because it was too wet, though.
it was, yeah, too wet. And
Yeah.
then I was very pregnant.
Oh, of course, yes.
So I couldn't get on the tractor. So it was really just, waiting till Luke had the time off to sit on the tractor for the couple of days.
Yeah.
And then she was born on the 17th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so the night he finished, we then went to Dubbo.
Good timing.
Yeah.
And so what were the actual species then that you planted in?
So it's radish, a little bit, radish, oats, barley, wheat. There's a little bit of lupin and some pea. There's lucerne and some medic clover underneath.
Oh, wow. So it's quite a few
Yeah.
different varieties. Okay, yeah. And how would you describe your soil here? Sort of.
Loamy, I guess. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
And it's pretty compact. So how have you managed with the rain? Has it actually infiltrated, or have you had a lot of runoff and that?
To start with, we did.
Yeah.
Like when we first bought the place, we had one downpour before we'd done much chaining. I think it was start of 19. We had 90 mil in half an hour, and it took out fences and stuff. But because it wouldn't penetrate. But once we've chained the timber, and out the back with that storm, like you could see it running off still, but it was so slow and it didn't cause any damage. Whereas at the frontier where it hadn't been, it was just in the neighbours within, no time.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, once it's chained, it sort of allowed it to, the rain to penetrate, I guess,
Yeah.
a little bit easier.
And I just still find it so fascinating that, because normally under normal conditions when we get involved we normally stuff it up somehow, but you've done the opposite completely.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I smelt some of that soil on the edge of the radish today, and it was deep. Like you can smell some healthy soil, but it still hasn't got that depth.
Yeah.
It's like a good curry, after a couple of days of maturity, it's got that beautiful taste.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed, and it was red soil, and the difference in where it's being grazed, that lovely fence line, and I was just really impressed. That's a magic moment for me. So thank you so much for having us on the property, and I've had such a great time.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you for being in the back of the ute.
Thank you.
Beautiful, well done.
Hopefully that was okay.
That was perfect, thank you. No, really good.